Hi everyone, happy Friday. Today is not a normal 5-tip Friday because I have little Lulu here with me. Isn't she the cutest? I love her so much. She's literally my best friend. She's my little baby. So today she's gonna be helping me walk through the 5 tips, and our topic, I'm very excited about it. It is actually navigating loneliness. So I brought my loneliness partner in with me to help me do this. Anytime I'm feeling lonely or isolated, like Lou is my go-to gal. So I'm gonna walk us through 5 tips in navigating loneliness. The first tip is really, really important, and I think I do this with every 5-tip Friday that is associated with some sort of emotion, and that is to acknowledge that you're feeling the way that you are. So in this situation, acknowledge that you're feeling lonely and really give yourself permission to feel lonely. So it really says nothing about you or your personality or your relationships if you're feeling isolated or lonely. It's a very normal feeling, and I think especially after this past year, everybody can empathize with that. I also think that talking about loneliness is kind of something that people shy away from, I think because it feels so raw and so vulnerable. And so, if you're avoiding acknowledging that you're feeling lonely, or if you have judgment or shame or blame around feeling lonely, then that's gonna prevent you from really being able to address it and do something about it. So I think absolutely the first step is acknowledge that you're feeling lonely and give yourself permission and space to feel lonely. Tip number 2 is reflect on your experience and really think about the difference between being alone versus being lonely. They are 2 totally different things, and I think that you can absolutely be alone and not feel lonely. I think on the other side of it, most of the times when you are feeling lonely, you're alone, but you can also feel lonely in a big group of people. So really identifying the difference between the 2 and checking in with yourself to see where you're falling on either side. Tip number 3 is do a connection check in your current relationships. This month for our book club, we are reading The Gifts of Imperfection by Brené Brown. I just started it. I'm obsessed. So these next 2 tips I pulled from her book because it's literally so good. It's like little golden nuggets that I had to incorporate it. So she talks a lot about connection. And so she talks about in order to feel connection, you must be okay with getting vulnerable. They really do go like hand in hand. So if you have a fear or a mental block around being vulnerable, then it's also very likely that you're limiting your experience of connection. So if you're feeling a lack of connection or intimacy in a relationship or a friendship, then find someone that's safe. That's the most important thing. Find someone who's safe and that is gonna show you compassion and empathy, and then talk to them. Sit down with, whether that's a friend, your mom, a life coach, a therapist, your freaking dog, whoever is gonna hold that safe space for you. I think being able to openly and authentically and be transparent about how you're feeling and really share and be vulnerable, you're gonna automatically feel more connected with that person if that person receives that with kindness and empathy and reciprocation. So find someone who's safe, get vulnerable, really try to connect. Those 2 go hand in hand. So tip number 4, this one also I pulled from Brené's book just because it's so good. But she talks about the idea of belonging, right? Like we're all kind of like pre-wired to need that sense of belonging. And she kind of associated belonging with being yourself. And I talked about the difference between like belonging and fitting in, and how at the surface you might think the 2 are one and the same, but she really talks about the difference between the 2. So she describes fitting in as maybe like changing or molding who you are to fit into a group, which I think in turn makes you feel even more lonely or even more isolated. So really avoid trying to fit in. Instead, set your intention on belonging. And in order to feel that sense of belonging, you have to know who you are. You have to be yourself. You have to own your story, own your narrative. And so that is really what's required to feel that true and authentic sense of social belonging. So if you want to have that sense of belonging and connection, you have to be yourself, and you have to know who you are and be comfortable and confident in who you are, and then you'll find your people. And then tip number 5 is make an active choice towards solitude. So solitude is really an essential component to our health and well-being. In fact, research actually shows that building more solitude into our daily lives can actually reduce feelings of loneliness. I think of solitude as really enjoying the time that you spend with yourself. I can remember, all throughout my college experience and even at high school, like, you're constantly surrounded by your friends, you're constantly surrounded by people. And then when I graduated college and I moved into my first apartment by myself, I felt lonely. I was like, what am I supposed to do with myself? And I was trying to pull myself out of that discomfort by making plans all the time and, doing things all the time, talking to people all the time. And I never really gave myself that space to actually explore what it looks like to enjoy the time that I spend with myself. And so I think that's all what solitude is all about. So my recommendation on this step is to make a list of all of the things that you would enjoy doing by yourself, and then schedule that time into your day. So, one great thing that I used to do all the time is make dates with myself. I would have one night a week that was my date night with myself, and I wouldn't go anywhere, but I would order in my favorite food, or cook a new recipe, watch a movie, have some wine, take a bath, do a face mask, read a book, really enjoy that time with myself. And I think the second piece of that is really being aware when you are spending time with yourself, and enjoying it, right? So if you're running errands, or you're going shopping, or you're painting your nails, and you're I'm having a really great time right now, then really lean into that and be mindful about that. And I think that really, that can I help you? She snores sometimes. She's so cute. But yeah, making that active choice towards solitude, I think, really is helpful in just enjoying that time with yourself. So I hope you enjoyed these 5 tips. I hope you enjoy little Lucy. Maybe she will join us for all of our 5-tip Fridays now. She's such a good co-host. Aren't you, Lulu? She's so cute. Okay, well, we love you. We hope you have a great weekend. If you're feeling lonely, know that that's totally fine. Shoot me a message, shoot Blush a message, sign up for life coaching, talk to a life coach. We are here for you, and we love you so, so much. Mwah.